Hi there, and welcome back to the Hub of Junior Golf Podcast. I'm Ryan Bird, joined as always by the founder of the Junior Golf Hub, Roger Nick. Roger, what a day we have planned today. Without question, the greatest female golfer of all time, one of the greatest golfers, period, of all time. Annika Sorenstam will join the show. 97 professional wins, 10 majors, World Golf Hall of Fame in 2003. Going to be great to pick the greatest. The GOAT, if you will, pick her brain not only on the state of junior golf now, but the direction recruiting and golf is heading as things become more physical out there on the golf course with the incredible speeds that these players are starting to play from. Let's kind of talk a little bit about junior golf, kind of catch up on some different things. Roger, obviously, this is a monster next couple weeks as the LPGA Tour Junior Golf National Championship will play its national championship this year. Roger, the boys go first. So much attention towards Charlie Woods, who is back for a second straight year, 66 from Woods in his regional qualifier at Mission Inn in Florida to qualify. And I'll tell you, Roger, I know this is having watched him in the progression of his game with Tiger on his bag. You've been at this event. You're talking about world-class players. We've had a U.S. Am champ, a U.S. Junior champ, multiple NCAA champs, but I think Charlie has got to be considered one of the favorites in the 14 to 15 division with how much he's progressed.
No doubt about it. I mean, it's going to be an exciting week. It's always fun to be down there in Coshada and the entertainment that's going on there with these junior golfers playing some great golf. I mean, listen, you've had some great qualifiers this year, Ryan. I mean, again, I always say kudos to you and Noda for putting this together in the meritocracy of qualifying. I mean, this is one of the truly unique events, in my opinion, in junior golf. I think it's a great space. It's a great event. And kudos to you and NB3 for putting this together, right? I mean, this is great.
Well, it is, as you said, in a day and age of resumes and points rankings and points races, this is the old, you sign up, you go play. If you finish usually in the first or second, it's not easy. But if you do that and pull that off, you do make it to the national championship. Misha Golod, who won the 14 to 15 last year, he's back this year. He's signed with North Carolina. So, it'll be interesting, up close and personal to, Charlie's played a very protected schedule. Roger hasn't played a ton of big events outside of his, east coast of Florida. So he will get an opportunity here, obviously, to, see where he stacks up against, players that have already committed to, top 5, top 10 programs in the United States. So that will be fun as well. The girls' field is absolutely loaded with the very best players from around the country, expecting, coaches from around the globe for sure to be checking things out. And a new installment this year, which we've never done before, is the Junior Golf Hub will be providing a PDI on practice round day. So the best 300 players in the world from around the world are actually, for those that haven't partaken yet, going to get a chance to do a modification, a modified PDI, if you will. And, that's going to be interesting to see who tests off the charts and ultimately where they end up.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see what's going on and what's going to happen there with some of these young players going through this modified player development assessment to get an index. I think it's something truly unique in the space right now. Again, back to helping kids understand where their skill sets are. I mean, there's so many talented players are going to be at both of these fields, the boys and the girls. So we're really excited to see what's going on and what's separating those who are really excelling and those who are kind of maybe down in the pack right now. And then how do they actually qualify? One of the things that I think is also unique about this is the mental skills assessment, which some of them have done or all of them will do on their hub profiles, is seeing where they're coming from. Like there's some really cool things coming out of our assessment when it comes to the mental game and the mental skills that I think we might see these next 2 weeks with these players going out there and learning how to compete and learning to win at this high level against this competition. So really excited about that, Ryan.
Yeah, some of the scores from the regionals, we had a player shoot 60 at the Utah qualifier. He is already
Unreal.
signed. Yep, he's already signed to go play for Casey Martin at the University of Oregon. I mean, that it is fun to not only see players that haven't signed, that haven't had a whole lot of fanfare because they have played in their particular state and really never got into the AJGA scene or a national scene, that they've been a really good player in their neck of the woods. And now they have an opportunity to show that game travels. And year in, year out, we have players that were not part of the story going in that quickly became part of the story and received a lot of college attention coming out. So that we know is going to happen. That's kind of the beauty of this, is it is you don't have to travel far to play in the regional. So you get a lot of players that are really dominant in their area that play the regional because they don't have to travel for it. And now for many of them, this is an opportunity. Okay, we're now going to take this against players that I've been reading about for the last 3-4 years that I think I'm better than. And well, let's go find out. So
let's tee it up.
Let's tee it up. Absolutely. I mean, I always say this, Roger, if you're a basketball, football, baseball player, soccer player, undoubtedly you can use the excuse the coach doesn't like me. I mean, I know
my minutes, coach.
I know I used it. The coach just didn't like me. That's why I didn't play more. The beauty of golf is, it is a sport where, the good news is there's no one deciding if you play or not. The bad news is there's no one to pass the ball to when things aren't going perfectly. I mean, it is all on you. So that is the beauty of the game. But all these players that will make their way, and I should say that it is televised once again this year. The all-boys final, December 12th, 7 to 9 on Golf Channel. The girls final, December 13th on Golf Channel. So another unique aspect of the NB3 JGNC is that it is nationally televised, where certainly that is some kind of perk as far as the ability to play on national television, not only in front of family and friends, but as we've seen over the years, players get discovered quickly on that national televised broadcast.
Absolutely. I think it's such a great platform, Ryan. And I don't think, again, what you guys designed there in this creation of this event, but who gets to participate? I mean, think about it. I mean, how many kids get turned away from participating? Zero. Right? Zero. I mean, this truly, I think, is outstanding. And you're talking about, providing an opportunity for some young men and women. Noda and yourself and your team with the MB3 championship has just been outstanding in making sure that no one's been turned away from giving the opportunity. Now, you still got to qualify,
sure,
but you're not turned away, right?
No doubt about it.
The barrier isn't about entry fee or, that kind of thing, right? It's truly about whether you want to play or not.
And the Junior Golf Hub and you, Roger, have been a huge part since day one. So we certainly look forward to another couple of weeks with you and your team and taking this to the next level. Let's take this show to the next level, because our guest today happens to be the greatest of all time, Roger. As we said, Annika Sorenstam joining the show shortly. Curiosity, how did you become partners with Annika with the Junior Golf Hub?
Well, it was a long process, let me say that, but it's one that's been worthwhile, and obviously joining now, but really excited to have Annika as a partner, and she's done so many great things in the game of golf, but also off the golf course, and what she's doing for girls golf and women's golf is truly remarkable, and it speaks volumes for who we believe she is and who we are in our in what we try to do with the Junior Golf Hub, making a positive impact out there.
And with that said, we welcome in the winner of 97 professional events, 72 LPGA Tour events, 10 major champions, World Golf Hall of Famer, the greatest of all time. It looks like she's we're in the next stage of the career, maybe a little race car driving, or we in a Formula One car there, Annika? First of all, thank you so much for joining the Hub of Junior Golf podcast. This, as I know your son is now a junior golfer, this has become the flagship podcast around the country, becoming around the world for parents and players in junior golf. So many questions that need to be answered. There needs to be a roadmap how to facilitate junior golf. So, Annika, let's just go back to you as a young player in Sweden. Know you were a great tennis player, a great soccer player, a skier. How did the game of golf find you?
Well, hello. First of all, thanks for having me. Yeah, you're right. Sports is my thing. I love sports. I've played a lot, tried a lot. I'm more successful some than others. But I would say, parents, they introduced me to the game. My mom actually takes most of the credit because she was games the first family at the beginning, and just I think the more I play, the more I appreciate it, and the more I enjoy it. And it's a tough game, but it's a great challenge.
No doubt about that. So walk us through a little bit of you falling in love with the game. I believe that tennis was, kind of how in a sports world where you were obviously a great tennis player, but why ultimately did you choose golf as something that you wanted to even go to the next level with?
Well, I competed in tennis for many years. My Bjorn Borg was my national hero, or maybe the whole country's hero, and I just wanted to do everything he did. But my backhand was just not good enough, and played a lot of competitions and just really didn't go anywhere. And in the golf, it seemed, I got better the more I practiced, and I enjoy being outside, hitting balls, working on different shots, whether it was 7-iron, whether it was chipping or bunker or driving, you name it. I just love all the different shots and how, fun it can be, and you can play to your strength. And I've always enjoyed that. And like I said, it's a tough game, but it's like if I hit one good shot, I wanted to hit 2 good shots. If I had 2 in a row, then the question was, can I hit 3 in a row? So it's always been something to work on and something to strive. And
Annika, was there a moment that you can put a circle around as a junior golfer where you kind of said to yourself, I'm pretty good at this. I think I can be great at this?
Well, I think when you start saying that, I think the golf gods are going to get you. I was calm.
Annika, getting into a little bit as you become a junior golfer, you talked about loving the challenge of golf. How about when you started playing tournaments? Was that addictive, the competition that you knew you wanted to do more of?
Yeah, I love them. I'm very competitive. I love the competition. I love to see if I can hit that perfect shot under the right circumstances, when the pressure is on. And of course, I love the game, being outside but compete against my peers. I enjoy that. Like I said, I'm very competitive. So whether it was tennis or the skiing or whatever, I've always enjoyed that.
Yeah, Annika, with that being said, I know it's been famously said, or I think I saw it in one of your documentaries about, coming in to finish or winning the event, that you would kind of miss a shot to finish second because you were a little nervous about the champion speech. So talk to us a little bit about, why that was and how'd you overcome that, and what mental skills that helped you overcome that, or that you thought were important to you.
Yeah, you're right. I was didn't really like to be seen or be heard. I've always been a little shy, and I avoided this limelight as much as I could. But in junior golf in Sweden, they always want the winner to say a few words, and I was just very terrified of that. And I figured, what, if I mix a few pots and finish second or third, I still get a little prize, but I don't have to do that. So it's like I was running away. I wasn't facing my fear, and I can imagine that I was quite upset about myself because, I practiced a lot. I was good enough, but my fear kind of prevented me from doing well. And then, eventually my parents, they saw the pattern and they said, well, maybe we should, call the tournament and maybe have them ask, whoever finished second or third, that they should all be saying something. So you can imagine the next tournament I was, I told them I didn't win, and they said, we know, but we'd like for you to say something. And I was, terrified and thought it was, the worst thing ever. And so my dad said, why don't you just grab your 7-iron, hold on to it, and, say something about, like my golf clubs to do the talking or something like that. And that's kind of when I overcome, this fear that it's like, oh, this wasn't that bad. It certainly beats the alternative of being so mad by throwing tournaments away.
No doubt about it.
Well, that in itself is a skill, just to be able to predict and throw that tournament away. That's to control your golf ball that well. That's pretty good.
Well, you find ways when you feel uncomfortable. So there you go.
Annika, we talk about playing so many other sports, and we know really the impact that you and Tiger have had on the game. The reality is in junior golf, we are seeing kids start younger and younger and younger. We are seeing kids only specialize the game of golf. I think it's wonderful that they love golf, Annika, but what is your opinion on still, especially as a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old, playing other sports and maybe not spending all that time perfecting golf at age 8 or 9, but playing the other sports, how in the long run it might help the game of golf? What are your thoughts?
No, I'm a believer of, you should try different things. When you're young, experiment and try. You never know what you like and what you don't like. And, I think it's good to have a little variety in your life as far as, not just physically, but, also, socially, hanging out with different people and learning whether it's a team sport or individual sport or just, maybe something else. I think it's really important. And, I just see so many kids nowadays, they just, they focus, too much on one sport at such an early age. And a lot of them get bored or they get, injuries. And it's, it's a shame because it's, I keep telling them at the will. It's just, you want to blossom later. You don't need to blossom at the age of 12. Take your time, enjoy it, grow up and learn and mature and kind of go with the sequence and not just rushing it. I think a lot of kids now, they want to rush out there, they dream. It's great to have dreams and you should follow them, but, there's no need to rush them. Enjoy the journey, as we say.
No doubt about it. Well, Annika, one of the things that I know we're really excited about is talking about that development and skill development over time. And now it's coined, long-term athletic development. And to Ryan's point and what you're just talking about is talking about, your enjoyment of all other sports. But that is part of development. And, one of the things that we're excited about doing is, showing, kids, how to assess their skills and then give them some things to work on. But it doesn't have to be just singularly focused on golf. It can, you can learn some of these physical attributes or skills doing other sports. Obviously, golf-specific skills are important to kind of know as well. But one of the biggest things, and it sounds as you've kind of mastered this, obviously, of all of your accomplishments, but on the mental skill assessment, and when you see junior golfers and you speak to a lot of junior golfers, what would be one of the most important things that you could tell the junior golfer out there about their mental skills, and what would be the most important thing if you would?
Yeah, I think you just, you touched on it. And the mental aspect of the game is so important. I think a lot of people don't, they underestimate the power of the mind. And, mostly when I look at juniors, you see them and all they do is to work on their swings and the grip and the turn and the impact and whatever. It's so much technique. And I'm all for technique, but there's a fine line where you have to, it's kind of like, if you just spend time on your driving, it doesn't mean that you're, 8 hours of wedge game is good. You have to spend time on all the different parts of the game. And the mental aspect is so important because, as you know, there are players that do really well on the range and then they go to the course and something happens there. And I think, trying to, when you practice, to make a little correlation between, practicing and playing golf, even though they're two different things. And some players do really well practicing, but then, once it starts, it's like you got one shot, you got to hit that, hit it now and not reload. So I think, working on that part, which is, a lot of it is, again, it's what's between your ears. And, it's having a positive attitude. It's the way, you trust yourself. It's the way that you, when you hit a shot, how you analyze that shot and just, kind of keep on going, and how you forget about that shot to move on, and how you go to the next hole and just keep on playing and believing in yourself. I mean, it's, having one thought and then, make a decision and then execute. And I think you see it a lot. It's like, wow, that, that young man or that young lady, what a great swing. But, if you don't have that, all the pieces in a row, it's going to make it very difficult. So I like, just to focus on that as well. It's not just, it might not seem as easy, not as easy as, working on the grip. I think it's a lot harder, and every golfer is very different, right? You can't just, okay, read this book and then now you're taught. It's just, a lot of it is also by, experience and being there and learning from your mistakes and understanding. So I think that's what makes this game, that as complex as it is, it's just, you have to address that part.
So many of our juniors, Annika, and as you said, it's okay to dream. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of sports as a kid. Whether you're dreaming of throwing that winning touchdown in the Super Bowl, or making that shot on the basketball court, or in golf being the next Annika or the next Tiger, the reality is that so many junior golfers, the goal is to first go and play college golf, and college golf is really obviously on the rise. We're really starting to see more and more of the professionals come out of college, where that wasn't always the case. I know you did spend a couple of years at the University of Arizona, but for all of our players that are in that process of saying, I want to play college golf, I want to do this, I want to do that. Do you have any advice on how to manage expectation and manage your dreams, if you will? Because there can, not everyone can be the very best player. There's only one spot at a time to be, ranked number one. Any advice on expectation or even parents' expectation? We see so much of that on the junior golf course, that so many parents believe, and it's okay to believe, I'm sure, but the pressure is that it's either be number one or bust.
Yeah. No, it's a good comment, and but again, I mean, you have to dream, you have to believe, but I think the most important part is to find your path. Each junior has to find their own path and have a plan. Set up your goals, and then have a plan on how I'm going to get there. And I've always, I talk about this ladder, and you put your main goal at the top, and then you visualize all these steps to get to the top. And again, this is not just something that happens overnight. And, it is a journey, whether it's the mental aspect we talked about, the physical aspect, then you got, strength training, you got, it's the spiritual aspect, all these different things. And it's, all the pieces need to fit. And I think number one is, stop comparing yourself with others. And that's, it's hard because, we compete, and then, you play with the same junior over and over, maybe, and then you start comparing yourself, she hits it further, she makes more putts or whatever it is. But I think we all have, a different journey ahead of us. And, some players, and especially in juniors, you will see them, they blossom at different times. Some blossom early, some blossom late, and, some do really well in groups, right? But you have to just kind of find your own little recipe for you to reach your goals. And I think that's the most important. And, I think people compare and, say, well, Charlie was really good at, age 12. And then, you look at yourself or your kid and you feel like, oh, it's too late. But, there's a way for everybody. And I think that once you start establishing what's important to you, being out there, and you can't forget that it's about, what you're doing along the way, having fun and progressing and meeting people and all that. It can't just be, counting trophies. And if you don't win a trophy, it's not the right thing. It's just, I think those are things that you, as a parent, as a coach, or whoever, it's look at the overall picture and because if you can't enjoy the journey, if you're going to live by, every shot, if you're going to live by every bogey or every birdie, it's going to be a really long, really long ride, and it could be, what do you call it, emotional roller coaster. So, my advice is just, it's your life. Create your goals, create your journey and your plan, and see what you can execute. And like I said, there's only one that could be the very best, but don't be afraid to set the bar high, because you maybe get all the way, but you're certainly going to be at a better spot than you were when you started.
Yeah, great advice for sure. Roger, let's move into a little bit of obviously with the Junior Golf Hub, college recruiting and player development has been a gigantic part of the hub, as really a great avenue for junior families to be able to log on and find that roadmap, if you will, to whatever they want to succeed and accomplish in their junior game of golf. PDI is obviously something we talk quite a bit about getting an assessment, finding out your strengths and weaknesses. Roger, how did you and Annika come together on PDI?
Yeah, well, we were talking about it. Actually, a mutual friend of ours, Leland Rang, actually helped us connect. And I was talking with Mike McGee, Annika's husband, and we were I think we came together on the understanding of what Annika just talked about, which was, how do I stop comparing myself to other players, and really how do I, have something that's going to be out there that's going to be assessing my own game and that helps me reach my own goals, right? So at the end of the day, through conversations, it was, I think Annika would maybe agree at this point and say that what she just said about assessing your own game, setting your goals and climbing the ladder, really PDI is exactly that measured assessment tool, right? And it's a way to actually do exactly what Annika just talked about, which is I don't have to compare myself or a score to someone else, because my development is going to be my development. It's going to take that time for me to develop whatever skills I need to on my timeline or my pathway. I don't have to just go play against someone else and say that if I can't beat them, I can't then succeed, because that's not a true assessment of where your skills are. So we see that. I think we saw eye to eye in that, and I believe that was something that I think both she and I think Mike would agree, is it something that we want to help more families, do that in a systematic way. So I think it's I think it's going to be a really fun relationship as long as Annika keeps talking that way, talking about climbing that ladder. I think that's we're measuring that ladder climb, if you will.
Annika, I want to ask you quickly about the game of golf, and certainly athleticism. Now, probably more than ever, seems to be such a huge part of this game, both with the women and the men. Better athletes coming in. Certainly, we know for sure that everyone's hitting it further, whether it be equipment, ball, or just, as you mentioned before, the physical training, the physical nature of the game. Do you have any concerns of how far kids are hitting it, and ultimately then younger pros are hitting it? Do you think that this is good for the game, or do you have a concern that things are getting maybe a hair out of control?
Well, I think the game is in a good place, and you mentioned it earlier. College golf is in a wonderful place, and I think we have to adapt to the modern world, and it's about. Right now it's about power. That's what brings a lot of people in. You can speak to any golfer, and if you ask them about the round, and I would say 90% of them say, "Oh, I hit this big drive on 15." That's kind of. People just love to hit every time I do a clinic, and I ask the girls, and do you like the driver? And they all raise their hands, and I said, well, why do you like the driver? And they said, because I like to hit it far, right? So I think that it's just that's what is attractive to many people is be able to generate some club head speed. And nowadays, technology and coaching and all the resources we have is making this game really fun. And it's bringing people into the game. So at this point, I'm not so worried. You do watch college golf, and these kids hit it 300 yards and plus, and it's just a different game. It used to be, okay, hit the fairway and then hit the green. Now it's like, okay, well, it's the shorter club in, the better. And, it becomes a point where some of these courses are becoming, obsolete. We have already seen that. Many of the PJ sites, they have to move courses or they have to extend them because, the par fives are now par fours,
Right.
as far as. But I think that there are ways to do that. There's still courses out there where, you can still challenge the golfers. We can trick up the greens. We can make the fairways more narrow. You can, get the rough up. There's ways you can do it. If you wanted to focus more on, course management, if you want to focus more on, accuracy, etc. There are ways to do that. But, I'm a believer right now golf is in a good spot, and that's just going to leave it at it. They're already talking about, reducing, just have a special golf ball for, the players, and it's not welcomed really. So I would just kind of leave it alone and then stay where we are.
Raj?
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. I think golf is in a really good spot. We've hit now 3 consecutive years of growth, especially on the junior side where kids are coming into the game. I do think that we can do better at maybe information on development. I do feel that that's probably the only shortcoming right now, but at the same time, kids are having fun. I think it's more education to parents and maybe helping them get out of the way so kids can enjoy it more.
For sure. Annika, last question, and we'll let you go. We once again appreciate your time so much. Your involvement with the Junior Golf Hub and ultimately a PDI and just ways for players to develop. What was appealing to you?
Yeah, it was. I agree. I think the things that I talked about has now been, packaged in more of a, in a more explained way, with numbers and data, and I love that, and I think that that's what we share. I think we share, love for the game, love for juniors, love for juniors to reach their full, their dreams and be able to develop through the game of, through the game of golf, and I think just having more. It's just more data and more specific, and there's science behind it, so there's more reasoning and other things I've kind of done, but it's packaged in a more comprehensive way, and I love that the follow-ups and the continued it's not just like something you do once and then that's it. This is a journey, and you want to follow and make sure that they stay on path and guide them, and I think it's a healthy way to get to where you want to be, and I welcome that, and I think it's again, I think we see eye to eye, and it's been in my course since the very beginning. It's just packaged in a little more professional way.
Awesome. Well,
Awesome.
Well put, Annika. Certainly, we appreciate your time today. You're an inspiration to so many boys and girls out there playing junior golf. So your words today will circulate, and kids will be better today because of you being a guest on this podcast. So drive safely. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you very much for having me. I really enjoy it.
Thanks, Annika. Have a good one.
Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
The great Annika Sorenstam, Roger. Wow, what a guest. The greatest of all time on the women's scene, and certainly in a handful of the greatest golfers of any sex all time. And she was obviously that dominant. A lot of words of wisdom, but certainly the one thing that, her last comment there was, PDI is essentially something that she has been doing her entire career to get ready to be the greatest. And now it's just because of your group, it's now just a lot easier to use and really spelled out for players. So as we talk about it pretty much every podcast and talk to juniors, contemplate, okay, how do I get started with PDI? Well, we just heard it from Annika Sorenstam that essentially she's been doing PDI her entire life to try to get better as a player. And now it's just readily available and better packaged because of what you guys, the formula you have developed. So that had to be music to your ears to hear that endorsement.
It was a lot of fun to hear that. For sure. A lot of hard work. But again, as she said, she's gone through this. She's done this. It's not like we reinvented the wheel here. what we've actually tried to do is make it easier for people to measure what they're actually doing so that they know that they're actually on, as she would say, her pathway, a good pathway in climbing that ladder. Now you're assessing yourself, not guessing to what other people may be doing or what skills that they have that you're missing, but where you really are when it comes to the skills necessary, from the mental skills, the physical skills, the golf skills, the playing performance skills. Knowing those things for yourself is so important. And I think being able to measure that and do that in a continuum fashion, meaning that you're going to continue to assess your progress, right? So you're getting that feedback loop or the good feedback loop that will help you continue that progress up the ladder, And so it was great to hear her say that. It was great, obviously, having her as a guest. She's phenomenal, and she's doing some great things for the game. So.
Another thing that really stuck out, and she kind of mentioned this several times, Roger, which we've had this discussion, but she talked about every kid blooms, at their own rate. Listen, parents are very competitive. The children, maybe not so as competitive, but certainly they all want to win. The reality is, at 12, sometimes it just isn't a fair fight just based on physical development.
Mm-hmm.
We all know kids that were, on the boys' side at 12 years old. Some of them have hair on their legs that are 6 foot and 180 pounds. Others might be 2 years away from that. So you don't judge the race at 12. And I think that is so difficult for junior golf families, Roger, because everyone is competitive. You do want to win. When you do lose, it's tough to really say, okay, I played my best. They just hit it farther. Someday I'll hit it as far or further than them. That isn't really the rationale you often see out on the golf course. It's the opposite of how can you let them beat you. I found she's probably made 6 or 7 times, Annika mentioned that, everyone blooms, develops at a different age. I think that is so important for our families to think about. If you're not winning, if you're not the top of the top at 12 or 13, it doesn't mean you're not going to get there.
No, it doesn't. As a matter of fact, it's almost just the opposite. Research says the late bloomer usually actually excels far more than the developer, right? So to your point, I mean, you might find a kid at 13, 6 foot tall and, more hair than my dad, right? So, I mean, it's a little scary, but I think one of the things that, I really want, and I posted this recently, Ryan, and I don't know if you saw this, but Not Good Enough. There was a documentary put out there about the Kansas City Royals, kind of in and around baseball, but it really, it can resonate for everyone, right? If you haven't seen it, go check it out, Not Good Enough. And I think to that point is that so many kids get driven out of the game so early based on that process, right? Meaning that they're a late bloomer, but their parents go, "Hey, you're not good enough," and the kid just gives up after a while. As you know, I mean, we're seeing it in our game in golf, where kids are giving up by the time they're 13, 14 years old because, you know what? They've been told that they're not good enough. And, hey, this kid's shooting 66 and you're shooting 76. It's okay because people develop at the different rates, right? So we want but if you haven't seen that, take a look at it. Check it out, parents. It's a great documentary, Not Good Enough, done by the Kansas City Royals baseball organization and Blue Cross Blue Shield. I think it's that powerful. I think it's a good one. But for us, Ryan, us, go to the Junior Golf Hub. Go check it out. Go get the PDI on the Junior Golf Hub. Check out mygolfpdi.com. Find the local guy to get assessed. So that would be my take.
Right. And the other thought on that, as far as your analytics say the late bloomer is actually better long-term, a big part of that also is there's not the burnout factor of the 9-10-year-olds number one player in the world, because at 7, 8, and 9 they're putting 10 hours in a day. Their skill, kudos to them at 10 and 11 that they've developed that skill that quickly. But is that time, Roger, sustainable, that at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, you're still able to put 10 hours a day in 7 days a week. I mean, good for you if your kid still loves the game, but I think for many, they'd start to hate the game.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, think about the pressure that you have as a young player, young person, of being that successful for that long a period of time, and knowing all the while that you probably are that successful because you just happen to be that early developer. You might be bigger, stronger, faster earlier than someone else. What other skills did you not develop enough to support that to be sustainable? And again, that's a big part of why the early developer doesn't necessarily, stay longer, right? I mean, we see that all the time, especially in golf, where golfers who may not have won the national championship or may have not have been a top pick on their college team, but yet have had great success on the PGA Tour or the LPGA Tour just because they developed all the other skills necessary to support that sustainability. So really important.
And that brings me to the reality now is when this podcast becomes available to you, you now have the luxury of going to watch the previous 25 episodes of the Hub of Junior Golf podcast and hear from the likes of Conrad Ray, the head coach at Stanford, J.C. Deacon, the head coach at Florida. We've had women's coach. We've had Susie Whaley. We've had men player, women's players, but all of them with a different perspective that ultimately don't listen to all 26 at once, but find this podcast to be able to go through the different guests we've had, because each has a message that ultimately can help your junior golf journey. And as we said, Roger, there is no better home, pure and simple, to get your junior career path started for your junior, the juniorgolfhub.com. There is ways to help figure out your schedule, where tournaments are, what tournaments there are. I remember the first time I had no idea that there was even junior golf out there. I'd only heard of Little League baseball and Little League basketball. There's a whole world out there that you're not alone. The folks at the Hub have been trained to help you along, not only in your development, but just make life easier for you, getting you connected with colleges that are the right kind of fit. So the juniorgolfhub.com, Roger, it is an incredible tool for all of our families.
I believe so, Ryan. Not trying to be biased, but I think it's a great tool. Hopefully they use it. They see a great benefit there. It's a great educational tool if your kid is or you're interested in helping your kid find a good fit out there and right information about schools that may be the right fit for you. And
get a head start on this, because I will tell you that this will be part of every junior golfer's path in the future. Annika mentioned that she basically has done PDI since she was a junior growing up in Sweden. It is now just a lot easier because that assessment is done for you. All you have to do is go to the Hub, take the first step, which is an easy assessment for your child, and find out where they can get better, find out where their strengths and weaknesses are. Ultimately, PDI is going to be equally of how players are ultimately judged on who goes and plays college golf. So we give you a head start here because it's going to be a thing, and you have an opportunity to get out in front of it. With that said, Roger, can't thank Annika Sorenstam enough, the greatest of all time, to be able to have her offer our families advice. It was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to be able to speak to her. Thanks so much for bringing her in.
No doubt. I loved it. It's a great association for us, obviously, for many reasons, but just because she's been there, she's done it, hopefully create some validation of what we're doing and why we're doing it. So it's an honor to have her on board.
Absolutely. So yeah. Annika Sorenstam, the Hall of Famer, episode 26 here of the Hub of Junior Golf podcast. For Roger Nick, our director and producer, Michael Nick, I'm Ryan Burr saying I hope you enjoyed the podcast with Annika, and we'll see you next time.